Am I live? Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm live. I is back with another stream. Hi guys, welcome back to another stream. Hi humans, how are you? For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Emberson. I do coding tutorials on Thursdays and gameplays on Tuesdays. Can't guarantee that I'm good. I'm pretty mediocre, but in some degree it's entertaining because you guys do keep coming back. But today we're gonna go ahead and start with another programming theme. Today we're learning loops and how to go through loops in a list and more shenanigans. And before I start, I do want to clarify that I usually use Python's default IDE shell to kind of teach programming there because it's a lot easier to go ahead and start learning programming when you don't have to focus on how a particular coding editor works. But today we're going to go ahead and use a different coding editor that's just as user-friendly. It has a little bit more settings, but we're going to venture out and use Sublime Text. So for those of you who do not have Sublime Text as a coding editor, what you're going to do is go to, let me find it, wait. Let me move myself because I can't be the center of attention always. Okay, so for those of you who don't have Sublime Text, you can go ahead and go to sublimetext.com. That's their official website, and download their code, their latest version. All right. Hi, look how cute! It's so tiny. Okay. I kind of want to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger because I know that the font's going to come out like size 12 or whatnot. Let me see. Hello. Okay. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we are going to learn how to loop through lists and other stuff. That's why I titled it Loops and Stuff. Loops allow you to perform the same action on multiple elements in a list, right? So to give you an example of a loop, right? So you like understand it better. When you're developing a game, you might want to move every element on a screen by the same amount of x and y coordinates. Every element, one x and y coordinate, and you want to apply that one coordinate into all of the elements in a list, right? Or, for example, if you're going into web development and maybe you want to display each headline from a list of articles onto a website, right? When you want the same action to be applied to every item on a list, you can use Python's for loop, which is what I'm gonna be playing with today. And I'm gonna start off by writing the code, and then we're gonna go step by step on what it means, what each function is, etc. I feel like it's much easier for me to write down the code and then explain it. This is typically what I do usually if you see my other programming tutorials. But let's start off by creating a list. So we're going to name it celebrities. Damn, this is huge. Wait. Okay. There. Okay. So let's start off by creating a list. We'll name the list celebrities. And let's name a few celebrities, right? And we're gonna create a for loop right now. So let's do for celebrity because they're celebrities. In celebrities colon, we're gonna print out one of this or all of the celebrity, right? Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Jack Dorsey. Now, this printed out each name in the list of celebrities. The first thing we did was we defined a list. Here's our list. We defined it. Yay. And then we defined a for loop. There you go. Here's our for loop for celebrity in celebrities. And then line 3 tells Python, this one right here, to pull a name from the list celebrities and associate it with the variable celebrity. And then line 4, we ask our interpreter to go ahead and print our variable celebrity. Um, it's a little bit easier to understand this by rewording it in such a way that you can understand it. So instead of reading for celebrity and celebrities, print celebrity, we're going to read it as for every celebrity in the list of celebrities, print each celebrity. See how it's easier to understand? And this doesn't have to be like you don't have to name your variable celebrity and celebrities. In fact, you can go ahead and name it for for tech person, right? And celebrities. Print. And then we'll go ahead and write here tech person. Oh, and it's going to run the exact same thing. Now you can also compose a message for all the elements in the list, and it'll follow the exact same order. Now, what do I mean by that? We're going to go ahead and, well, let's change this, right? I actually do want to leave it as celebrity. We can go ahead and compose a message within the for loop, and I'll give you an example of this. Okay, now let's run this and let's see what happens. Ah, there it is. All right. So what happened? The indentation here is very, very important, right? So the indentation after our initial for loop statement is considered inside the loop. What do I mean by that? That means for celebrity and celebrity, here's our for loop statement. And then in order to have our data run within the loop, we have to indent so that you see how everything is lined up perfectly right under that for statement. That makes everything run within the loop. So now what this did is we printed out our celebrity, but we also printed out a message along with that variable now that we assign celebrity as a variable. So now we have Elon Musk, and it does everything in order. So you can see that first we have Elon Musk, and then we compose a message to Elon Musk. Elon Musk is my favorite tech entrepreneur. But you also have to keep in mind that it is important that when you're creating a loop, you don't mess with the indentation. It's important that you keep whatever you're gonna, whatever you want the loop to work, you have to create an indentation after your loop statement. So each indentation line is executed once for each value in the list. So let's, for example, say I want to compose a second message, right? Keeping that indentation in order, we can go ahead and print out another message, and we'll use the f string in order for us to actually use the variable within the string. And we'll write psych, but, and then curly bracket, again, celebrity dot title font, so then everything's nice and clean. Close it. It's still cool. And we'll put in a \n, so then everything's separated. Okay, so now we can see here, we have Elon Musk, everything's still in order. Our message composed to Elon Musk. Elon Musk is still my favorite tech entrepreneur. And then psych, but Elon Musk is still cool. And then what the for loop did is it did this for every element in the list. So we have Jeff Bezos, we have the first message and the second message composed. And the same thing for the third element. We have the third message and then the third message composed. Or the first message and the second message composed for the third element. But once a loop is finished executing, right? Once you're done putting in all the data that you want to put into a loop and you want to continue working, usually you'll want to continue working outside of the loop, right? So what you have to do is venture out of that loop by going back into the first indentation, going back into how you started writing your code, so that first line. And then we can actually compose a message here that will run once the loop is complete, once the loop is finished running. So then here we can, for example, put thank you for reading my message, right? And it's always important to see how it runs. See how our loop runs first. Once our loop is done running, then our outro message is composed. Thank you for reading my message, or messages. Messages makes a little bit more sense here. There you go. Thank you for reading my messages. But now we're going to go ahead and use loops for different reasons. So instead of using like string data, we're going to go ahead and use numerical list. And numerical lists are used to store a set of numbers. Now, to put this in a developer perspective, let's say you're creating a game that consists of a scoreboard. Typically, most games consist of a scoreboard. So you want to keep track of a player's high score, right? It's ideal to keep a data list of all your stored numbers. And Python 3 provides numerous tools to help you store this kind of data efficiently. And what we're going to do is we're going to explore some of those tools and how we can use them in a loop. The first type of tool that we're going to talk about is the range function. So let's talk about the range function. I'll start off with the code, and then we'll talk you through it, or I'll talk you through it. I don't know who we is, but I'll talk you through it. Let's put for value in range. Let's do 1 through 5, colon. We're gonna print out the value. So let's run it. Okay, so now we have for value in range is 1 through 5, right? Print out all the values, and then you'll see here that the interpreter went ahead and printed out all the values up to 4, even if we wrote 5 here. And I'll explain a little bit about why it did that. So first off, we used here the range function, right? Here it is, the range function, to print out a set of numbers. Now it prints out 1 through 4 even though we wrote 1 through 5, because the interpreter reads it as stop at 5. So not including 5. So if we wanted to include 5 into our value range, we would have to go it up to 6. So we're telling the program here, stop at the number 6. So now when you run it, see how it's going to include the number 5. Now this is called, right here, this is called off by 1 behavior. And you'll encounter this a lot deeper when you get deeper into programming. This happens very often. So it's important to understand that with range numbers, it's going to stop at whatever number you put last, and it's not going to include that number. Now, you can also write this in a more simpler term. Like if you want to start your value range at 0, then you can just write wherever you want it to end. So let's say we want it to end at 6, right? We'll run it, and you'll see that it starts at 0, and it continues all the way down to 5, before I did that. So let's go ahead and let's store our range of numbers into a list. All right, here it is. So when you wrap lists, the list function, around a call to the range function, the output will be a stored set of numbers, as you can see right here. And it's all stored where? It's all stored in data. Now, we can also skip numbers in a given range by presenting a third argument into our range function. A lot of big words there. But basically, what we can do is we can count by 2s, for example, and stop at the number 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so now when you see the output, it's counting by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 doesn't include 11, which is what I explained earlier. And Python uses that, well, this value right here, as a step size when generating numbers. So here the function starts at value 2. It adds 2 to that value, and then it continues until it stops at 11, not including 11. And you can create any set of numbers using this range function, or in this style of code right here. We can use the append method to create a list of data from scratch. And before I go ahead and do this, I'm gonna explain something. So in Python, 2 asterisks represent an exponent, okay? And I'll show you what an asterisk looks like here. These 2 asterisks, when put together, they represent an exponent. For those of you who don't remember what an exponent is, that range function seems really useful to create loops. It does! Thank you, Daniel, for noticing. Okay. So for those of you who don't remember how an exponent looks like, I don't judge you. It's okay. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just going to go ahead and show you. This is an exponent, okay? You have your base, and then you have, in this example, 5 to the power of 2, which means you're multiplying 5 2 times. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's use the append method to create a list from scratch. And we're going to go ahead and set our values to the exponent or to the power of 2. Big words, don't worry. I'm going to simplify this for you guys. So let's have our variable be open to, so we'll name it squares. And now we'll go ahead and we will call in our for loop. So for value in range, ooh, we'll do 1 through 11 again, colon, we'll set square. Our square values are going to be our value to the power of 2. And then we're going to go ahead and call our append method to create that list for us, to send back this data into our squares variable, right? So we're going to append everything to the variable squares. Now let's go ahead and let's venture out of this loop because we're done putting in that information for the loop, and we're going to go ahead and print out squares. So once everything is done, we want the program to print it out. Let's go ahead and let's see how it runs, and then I'm going to explain it. Wait, give me a second. I did something wrong. For square and squares, sorry. Now that we printed that out, we see that our numbers are going from starting from 1 as we assigned it here, and then to the exponent of 2, 4, to the exponent of 2 to the exponent of 2, 4, 3 to the exponent of 2, 9, 4 to the exponent of 2, 16, and etc. So it takes our value in order and it makes everything to the power of 2. And it printed out in list format here. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's explain this. So we start off with an empty list called squares. Here it is. And then we set a for loop telling Python to loop through each value starting from 1 to 10, well, stopping at 11, right? Using the range function. And then inside the loop, which is all this information right here, inside the loop, each value is being raised to the second power and then assigned to the variable squares. So the append method is going to go ahead and put in our information back into that list. And then once our loop finishes running, we print out our newly formed list right here. And notice how we do this outside of the loop, right? It's important. Indentation, like I said previously, is very important when you're working with loops. Now, if you see this, it's important to start learning from the beginning clean code and how you can really like concise your code to not make it so long if possible. And that's exactly what you can do here, right? So we can make this code, all of this really, cleaner and more concise. So by omitting, let me think this through before I say something. Okay, yes. So by omitting the temporary variable squares, right, and then appending each new value directly to the list, we can shorten this code right here. So basically what I just said, for those of you who don't understand, is basically merging these two lines of code right here. And we'll put it all together. We have our data, our print output outside of the loop, and let's run it. See, so it's the exact same thing, but as you can see, I took into consideration that I could shorten this code and concise it and make it much cleaner. And it's important that you look back into your code, right, and check to see if you can clean it out. Clean code is extremely important. For those of you who don't know what clean code is, like the definition and what do I mean by clean code, there's a lot of YouTube videos on it, but I can kind of see if I can make a YouTube video kind of explaining clean codes and giving better examples here. But this is an example of it. Now that I look at it, I can clean this, I can concise this a little bit more. And this is like an extra step you don't have to, but I can see that I can shorten this here. So in fact, now that I look at it, we can use list comprehension to generate lines 9, 10, 11 into one single line of code. What do I mean by this? Well, I can shorten this. How would I shorten this? Yeah, yeah, this should be good. And then we'll put this closer so you guys can see that everything is put together. Okay, let's see if it works. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So what I did is I used list comprehension, which is basically putting everything in like the range, the for loop, and everything into one single line of code in order to produce the exact same thing, the exact same output, but my code looks much cleaner. And it's very important that you do that. I think this is good information. I think I'm going to go ahead and finish it here because I basically gave you guys the idea of how and why the concept of for loops is important, and I don't feel it necessary to make this a long video with a bunch of programming examples. Take in the information that I just taught, absorb it, and venture out and see how you can use for loops better. Okay guys, but I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching another one of my streams. I love you guys. Have a nice weekend. Bye.